Welcome one and all to this evening's Mother's Day Monathon. It's episode number 80 of the Town Social. And we're gathered here this evening to dissect an utterly shambolic and pathetic weekend for Huddersfield Town. After the outcry from the new season ticket prices, Town served up another shining performance to get those sales skyrocketing. A right ass-kicking from the Addicts saw Town tumble to 7th in the table, overtaken by a Reading side in complete financial turmoil. The game ended 4-0, but let's be honest, guys, it could have easily been 5, 6, 7. We were completely outfought and utterly outclassed. We were so shy, even our own players don't want to watch us anymore. As Dion Charles was spotted taking in the Bolton game rather than watching his own team. What the hell is Kevin Nagle thinking right now? Did you ever see a more sorry sight than the Three Stooges sat in the Charlton hospitality overlooking a raging away end with a Cartwright out, bedsheet flapping in the breeze? What on earth are we going to do to turn things around, eh? Well, it's time to have your say tonight, guys. I'll be your host, Nick Barlow, and joining me as ever is the wonderful Tristan Batley-Kyle, Gaz K, and maybe Andy K will also grace us with his presence later on. I see we've also got quite a few comments there. Stephen Shepherd, good evening to you, mate. This should be fun. Well, it'll be more fun than the game on Saturday, mate, but that's not saying a lot, is it, to be perfectly honest. Steve Braresford, hiya, mate, in New Zealand. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. John Pearson, hello to you. Salvation, hello to you. Just thought I'd tell everyone there will be no video diary between Kevin Nagle and Carmichael Day. I can't wait for this video diary, guys, and to see what he's got to say. Penny for his thoughts after seeing that. But guys, come on, let's get down to it. Let's attempt to dissect what we witnessed yesterday, because that, Gaz, was utterly shambolic, pathetic, whatever word you want to use. It was just absolutely diabolical.
It was fucking disgraceful, Nick, is what it was. We just obviously been talking before we came on, and so after the fourth went in, me and Connor walked, and I think we were trying to work out on the train back to London Bridge whether we'd ever left an away game so early, and I don't think we haven't. And it wasn't even the score that was disappointing, because we've been pumped before, and I've stopped till the final whistle. But, you know, the performance was just an absolute disgrace from minute one, really. I guess we're probably going to go through the goals one by one, but you know, all four goals were of the lowest quality, and I'm really disappointed, because you know what you're going to get at Charlton. You know what you're going to get up against Nathan Jones. They've come off the back of a bit of a pump in themselves and been done 3-0 at Peterborough, but we know they blow hot and cold, don't we? But that demonstrated that if you get around the back of them, you've got half a chance. But we never threatened. I mean, it was from, I guess most Town fans probably missed the goal because they were still queuing for it was about 87 deep at the bar just before kick-off. So a few people missed it. But I mean, it was just a disgrace. 1,600 Town fans, whatever there was, making that effort, getting down into London, being at Charlton for 12:30. Never mind the financial cost people have parted with to go and support that. And that was, and the players, and to a point, even Worthington seemed to think that was an acceptable performance, and Charlton were just the better team. It would have fucking disgraced, Nick, honestly.
Evening, everybody that's joined us. Terrier Jack, nice to see you again, mate. Hardiel Haler, good evening. Jersey Terrier, Peter Liversidge, Rivet Head, good to see you as always, mate. Thoroughly depressing performance, says Hardiel Haler. Where do we go from here? Trist, I mean, it's hard to really put the pieces together and say exactly where it went wrong, because it was just a complete collective failure from start to finish, wasn't it? But let's just go into the first goal, because it was right at the start. 28 seconds we had to wait, and Radinho Bolka goes to kind of pass it back to Nichols. Nichols says, "Oh no, he can pass it out," and then it's just an look lazy, pathetic pass out, easily intercepted. And it's a decent cross, and it's a really good header, actually, for Matty Godden. But this is 28 seconds in. What the hell was Bolka doing, Tris?
Yeah. Do you know, though, Nick, it started from the most ridiculous kickoff. And they did it, I think, 3 or 4 times.
3 times.
To a 5'8" striker. They're banging this ball out to, and I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing? And the ball came back, and the first time it came back, Nichols then puts it straight down the middle of the pitch, again to our 5'8" striker, who, funnily enough, didn't win it, and it comes back to them. And then, as you say, Bolker, and I think there is a little bit on Brodie Spencer because he seems completely switched off as well. 28 seconds into the game, and as players are all switched off, it just says it all, doesn't it? And to be honest with you, Bolker, I think, Gaz, did he do it about 4 times in the game? He kept passing to their players, and we just, they just weren't interested. And we're going down there, and you're thinking, okay, Karoma might be back, Kasumu might be back, Kane might be back, Miller might be back. All these players, and Bolker, and so you're kind of getting your hopes up, and 28 seconds in, and just to add to that, Matty Pearson falls over. Honestly, it was like watching Fred Carno's circus, wasn't it? It literally was just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and to the point where the squad were running 28 seconds. Stewart at side of us is laughing his head off, cheering his head off. Players were running in front of us, laughing their heads off. It just makes a mockery of the club, and there was nothing. There was nothing. And quite as you said, Nick, before we started, 28 seconds, and literally people have travelled down to London, and half 12 kick off. It's this, it ain't the easiest thing, and they turn up like that.
I don't get this thing with Bolker though. People keep telling me, but Bolker's going to be the best defender in the Championship if we get back up. He's been absolutely garbage. If he ain't injured, the guys, all right, so he occasionally plays a 30-yard Hollywood ball, but he got absolutely mullered at Northampton by Tom Eaves, who's one of the worst professional footballers I've fucking ever seen. Yeah. And I mean, he was absolutely, because he did it again. I think it was a ball brought from a corner, and Evans had turned away and started to run back up the pitch, and he tried to pass it to Evans, who's 3 yards away inside his own penalty area. I'm like, what world are you in, mate? Just get your foot through it and put 30, 40 yards on. I just, and maybe he is built for a higher league of football because his physicality is zero, absolutely zero. But I know that we're short on centre halves, and if Bolker's fit, I guess you've got to play him. You've got, you're going to put him in over Ruffles and Spencer playing centre half and Ruffles left back. But it was always going to be a game of first and second balls against Charlton. I think it was when we played him at home, by the way. Did we win one first ball? Did we win any second balls? Fucking definitely not.
Yeah.
It just smacked the complacency. And honestly, his body language when he gave it away, he just fucking he wasn't fucking bothered. Didn't bother him when they scored.
Connor K says he played like Gaz his net terrier days. I won't go that far. I think that's a bit harsh, mate. But we'll
Take a box, you little shit.
Terrier Jack says the players are mentally checked out. Well, are they guys? Because I tell you what, they didn't look like they give a fuck yesterday, did they? John Worthington can say, "Oh, they're an honest group of lads, and they do care." How many times have we been told this? They care, and what we're seeing on the pitch just doesn't match that at all. The body language, just not giving a fuck when goal goes in, strolling around, nobody getting hold of anyone, shouting, no communication on the pitch. Even before the game, you could see Charlton players like revving each other up, good, and then I think at one point Balker goes over to Ruskin and goes, and then walks off, and that was our G. And for the game, like it's like they just can't be asked, isn't it? What is it that? Do you think that a lot of these players think, you know what, we're off? It doesn't reflect well on them as players, but is that what it is? Do they think, well, we're not going to be at this club, so it don't really matter. We'll just do the bare minimum and then sod off? Because that's how it looks to me. I don't know.
I think there's an element of that. I think Steve Brailsford was just saying exactly what I was just going to say. There's no leaders in that team, is there? I said when they were coming out and I spotted Nichols were captain again. I said to Connor, what value does a goalkeeper have as a captain during a game? How is he gonna get into somebody's ribs on halfway line when they don't put a tackle in, when they don't, or when somebody misplaces a ball? How is he going to bollock him from 60 yards away? So I guess that there's definitely no leaders in that team, and I think we were found out in terms of heart and desire yesterday, and I said, our time, they pee hard. They did nothing. They gave absolutely nothing yesterday. No personal pride, and certainly no pride for the shirt they were wearing and for the 1,600 poor souls that were stood in that way. Not one of them gave anything for us yesterday. And if they think they can look themselves in the mirror and say they did, then they need to be having a fucking word with themselves.
Connor's made a good point here.
Guys, I don't know if you've covered this already, but they're an honest group apparently, so they will sit and reflect. They will sit back and go, actually, I didn't try as hard as I should have done, as I've been massively paid to do. What a load of shite that was from Worthington at the end there. Sorry, I've had a tough journey.
No, go on. Andy's entered the room.
They're going to get it. Sorry. Good evening. Good evening, gents. Good evening all.
He's already pissed off with the trains and what God knows what, so he's raging tonight.
How on earth can a manager of a professional football team stand there and say we were outfought?
Shocking. At times. I mean, that was nothing, Andy. He also said we were outfought at times. No, mate. We were fucking outfought for 90 minutes. He's one of us.
I can only talk about 60 minutes, so.
No, but you would have thought Worthy being one of us would have told it how it was. You would have thought he would have said, well, I was completely unacceptable. And we're going to be having a meeting tomorrow. We're going to be watching that back, and we're going to go through that fucking line by line. Instead, we get, well, they're a good bunch of lads. They're really honest. But yeah,
I was disappointed because I don't know if you saw him. I don't know if you saw him during the game on the touchline. He were kind of a little bit like Nick just said about Ruskin and Bolker. He were kind of just like waving them up touchline. Yeah. Squeeze up, like this. And I'm thinking, play hell with them. Play absolute holy hell with them. You wouldn't literally. He would have done that on the pitch when he was a player. He'd have played hell with them. And it just feels like apathy throughout the club. Complete apathy. There's nothing.
But do go and purchase your season cards at an extra 70, 60, 70, 80% rise. Bradley Peel's put here, who's going to pay for over £400 for a season ticket? And I don't know, mate. I don't know. Watching that, if that's the advert, what the fuck? Who's gonna pay to watch that? Utter shambles. We're just, Andy, just for you, mate, we've just been trying to make some sense of this debacle. We've talked about the first goal. I mean, we're going to quickly go over the goals, but I don't want to dwell on it too long because it would just fucking horrific, wasn't it, from start to finish. But goal number 2, I mean, Campbell cuts in. Look, he's all right, Tyrese Campbell. He's a bit of pace, direct, everything we don't have, really, but he's still quite limited. But when you give him that much fucking space, Turton looked like a fucking tortoise with his leg amputated. He was that fucking slow, trying to Daxi Day. He almost ran away from him at one point, turned away, he didn't know what to do. And then he just finds the bottom corner. It's a decent finish, but how much time did he have? Didn't make it difficult at all for him, did we?
Honestly, that annoyed me more than the first goal. I said before, this professional football, as a professional football, if you make one mistake, that's fine, but you should never make a second. And the ball broke into midfield. It were a free hoof forward. And then Bolker headed it up in the air. It was Turton, headed it up in the air. Turton headed it up in the air. Their man runs past Hodge, headed it back to Campbell, and Turton's then decides he might have a saunter over, try and close him down, at which point he's taken a touch and smashed it into bottom corner. It was absolutely pathetic. It was one ball, and I lost count a number of times. One ball got him in behind us. Godden was really good on the day. I mean, we have to give credit to Charlton, by the way. I must say, I thought Charlton were great on the day. I thought they were everything we weren't. They're everything we haven't been all season. And I thought they were really good on the day. And honestly, Nick, you were saying it could have been 6-7. It could have been double figures, and I'm not exaggerating. They must have missed 4 or 5 really good chances, and Nichols made 3 or 4 worldly saves. It honestly could have been double figures. But that second goal, I mean, as a professional footballer, it was absolutely fucking I mean, I keep using the word disgraceful, but he fucking what? Nobody give a shit either. Ball went in, and I'm by the way, although I'm praising Nichols, I'm not entirely sure he shouldn't have fucking saved it. It was right under his hand.
And talk about near misses and chances, Gaz. The chance for Godden after that, where Bolker again just doesn't look before he passes it. He's no idea where their player is. He just passes it straight to him, and he's played one ball. He's straight through, and Godden should score. And we're barely 20 minutes, 25. It's absolutely shocking. And you sat there thinking, this is going to be really bad. This could be anything today. Thinking, why the fuck have we trailed down here? But then, second half, you think, right, look, we tend to be poor in the first half, but we have at times, like your Blackpool away, like your Lincolns, we have come up with something in the second half. And you're thinking, right, lads, come on. Get out there and show what you're made of. And we were just as bad, if not worse, really, weren't we? The Campbell again, Turton was absolutely destroyed in that game, wasn't it? He was just absolutely cut to pieces. Again, the bloke cuts in. Nobody puts a challenge in. They're all scared. It's like they're scared of him. They're about running away from him, backing off, and it's decent finish again, but it's relatively easy for a footballer of that ability when you've got all the time in the world to pick your spot, isn't it? Andy, what were you feeling at that point? Sat watching, mate. What were you thinking?
In one hand, you're wishing that they can repeat a Blackpool away. And you're thinking, right, let's just get back into it. Let's spend a bit of time in their half. I was with Tom Bradshaw from and he takes that chance and Still Smiling Pods. And we just need to spend 10 minutes passing the ball to each other to settle down here. But because they're mentality midgets, as we suspect Mr. Duff might have said about them, they just didn't seem to be able to concentrate or to do anything for more than 10 seconds before they switch off, or they just play a pass. So we were desperate for him to get back into it. And I thought sort of last 10 minutes of the first half, we sort of came back into it, but whether that was just Charlton just relaxing, knowing that 2-0 up, we ain't coming back from it, and they gave us a bit of the ball. But you were wanting something to happen. And as Peter Liver says, yes, I may have been searching the train times at half time to see what time I could actually get back home. Apart from the 7 o'clock that I was booked up back on, I was back home by 7 o'clock. But you just wanted them to show some character, and as you've probably said already, there is no character. I'm prepared to give any professional sportsman. I am prepared to give the benefit of the doubt, because I don't think they get to that standard. And it is, whether we like it, League One is the elite level of football. You don't get to that with a poor mindset. However, I don't know whether it's the environment, the club. You could almost visibly see them shrink. And Charlton were absolutely all over us for the entire length of time that I was there. Probably 65 minutes that I was there before the fourth goal went in. And I just went, I looked at my lad, and for first time for a long time, my lad went, yeah. Because normally he wants to stay for a bit. Nah, what's the point? Let's get on. So you wished for it, but nothing happened.
I think it's any team that presses us high. Wish it ourselves. We can't pass the ball. We don't have the skill to pass the ball. So as soon as the team presses high, we either twat it out for a throw-in because we don't know what to do. We just panic and launch it, or we give it straight to them. And that happened time after time after time. And that's an ability issue as much as a confidence issue. Because if you've got the ability, you just pass it round them, go into the game. But we just panic. Yeah. It's like we just don't know. We don't know what to do. And Tristan, the fourth goal, there's 4 players on Campbell. He's running towards them with the ball. There's 4 players watching the ball. Nobody picks up Doherty just slowly peeling away. They're all watching the ball, and it's just a simple sight pass. And again, he's got so much time. And yeah, it's unlucky it bounced off Nichols, but it was thoroughly deserved, mate. That was awful defending again. Every one of these goals could have been prevented, couldn't it?
Yeah. Do you know, it's just we got to the point. I think there was a point as well when they brought Karoma on towards the end, and they summed the whole team up. It brought down the line and thought, you know, he might do what Campbell did and chop inside, and he goes down the outside and he just runs the ball out. And the defender, literally just jockeys him out of play. And I just thought, you know, there's no, you know how a striker will shove defender into hoardings or something like that, you know, a bit of bastard about him. Nothing. Okay. And that summed up, you know, and that goal again. I mean, we'd sit here criticising Jacob Chapman for that. He didn't, you know, I know he struck it well. He didn't have a cap on. Some were blinding towards that end. You know, I'd argue that he probably should have been wearing a cap. But, you know, the bloke's 6'5", and the ball's gone in off the underside of the bar. I know it's his backside, but it's gone in off the underside of the bar. He shouldn't be getting beat like that. 100% he shouldn't. And I don't disagree that the defending before it was abysmal. But I think you know, it was just abysmal. It was just abysmal. And I'll be honest with you, I think, and it's quite sad really, I think Worthington completely got the team wrong. I personally, I didn't think Charlton were any great shakes. I thought it was akin to us against Crawley, and I didn't think that we were good against Crawley. I thought Crawley were just beyond inept, and I thought yesterday we were just beyond inept. And you know, and I do agree with Gaz. Godden is a handful. He's a handful. You know, whenever we've played against him. But they didn't have to do anything difficult. You know, that winger, that Campbell, literally cut inside. How many times have we seen Josh Karoma try and do that this season and hit it against the legs of a defender? We joke about it. You know, it happens that much, right? Why has somebody not just closed him down? Why is he not hitting it against the legs of a defender? Do you know what I mean? It just... I'm just...
closed down all game. Tracy, first half when we were at end, you could see it. They were jockeying players and they were 5 yards away. So when the bloke blows the ball and goes to take a touch, if you're 2-3 yards away, you've got a chance to make a decision to make a tackle or not. Turton was so far off his man. The bloke, he was trying to show him down the outside onto his left foot, which is where you want to send him. Yeah. But he was so far away, the bloke could just simply switch it back onto his right and come back in with no challenge. Because Turton's still 2 steps away from being able to put a challenge in on him. And it was saying with that third goal, if you watch the video back, so Pearson fucking shuffles across in the way that he does. And he did that fucking thing where they go like that.
Yeah.
You fucking bend it. So what can bend ball around it? Freak help yourself, mate. But yeah, I think terrible. It's lazy, you know. You're talking about mentality, and that's fucking. I mean, that is basic. I know fuck all. I'm not a professional footballer or a football manager, but I know if a bloke brings the ball to a standstill or tries to go down the side of you, you get close enough that you don't even want to be touch tight because he's going to skip round you. But you get close enough that you've got a fucking opportunity to put a tackle in. We were never going to get a tackle in. So whether that's direct instruction, get them out wide and just jockey them back so they come back inside, funnel them back inside, I don't really know. But
there were no midfield there, were there, Gaz? There were no midfield to push them into. You know, when you're pushing people inside, Hodge, Evans, Wiles, they were anonymous, weren't they?
Yeah, I think Connor said earlier, didn't it, about how we miss Hogg in these kind of games, and this, you know, is Hogg fit enough to play a 90-minute game against Charlton? Probably not. But it just echoes back to the whole recruitment thing. We've known for 4 years we need a Hogg replacement, like we've known for 4 years we need a fucking big striker. Yeah, here we are. Jonathan Hogg still having to come on at half-time to try and arrest the decline that you'd seen in the first half. Not even he can fucking do that now. But he's not at that level anymore, God love him, is he? But I tell you what was interesting, because I looked before. We had 58% possession. Apparently, we had 408 completed passes. They only had 297, and we lost 4-0. By the way, 350 of them passes must have been after I fucking left. I didn't see 408 passes in first half.
No, I didn't see any of that.
Honestly, how we had 408 completed passes, I'll never know. But they'll be looking at a GPS. What thing? Oh, 480. We're 58% possession and 1/3 more passes than they did. I thought we've got to do a bit more. I fuck it, it's bollocks. They were completely outclassed on the day by a team that had fucking heart, that had soul, gave it their all, and gave a fuck about the game and the shirt they were wearing. And our lot didn't give a shit. And people tell me Duff was the problem. I fucking said when we got rid of him,
I said that yesterday, guys.
but I'm not sure he was the fucking problem. And there we are. Within 2 games, it's been laid bare.
Yeah.
And the club's rocked to the core because these fucking wankers, we'll get a new fucking. If we don't have an absolute clear out in the summer, these wankers will get another coach 3-4 months in. They'll decide they don't like him, down tools for 8 weeks because they know Kev will just fuck him off. Once we start grumbling on Twitter, Kev will have him out the door. It's scandalous.
Yeah.
If we renew any one of them contracts in summer, there's got to be serious questions asked, haven't there?
Yeah.
Any one of them contracts gets renewed. It needs completely gutting this squad and starting again. Write the fucking season off, gut the squad, and let's try and just salvage some kind of credibility and pride and rebuild again next season because it's been a joke. This team, these are individuals. Charlton play as a team. I like them, guys. They're good. They've got good energy. They wanted it, like you said. They're in our faces. We just play like individuals that don't give a shit. It was absolutely embarrassing. And this is a team that we're supposed to be better on paper. Oh, fuck. Nowhere near. These players are nowhere near. It's just a cycle of going from one manager to the other and, it's Duff's fault. Oh, it was Brighton Wright's fault. Oh, it's etc., etc. Oh, it'll be Worthy's fault when we lose at Lincoln fucking 4-0 on Tuesday. It isn't. The only common denominator in all this is these players. And who's brought them in. And who's still fucking here for summer to try and do rebuild. And that's what worries me. That's what really worries me. And that's why a lot of people, I dare say, will probably be holding off on season tickets because what we're going to get served up again next season, eh?
Sorry, Nick. Do you know what summed it up as well yesterday? The lad that seemed to show the most kind of I don't want to say heart's the wrong word, but actually came on and had a little bit of a go was a 19 or 20-year-old lad on loan from Wolves, Fuera. You know, he actually got hold of the ball and tried to have a go and tried to go past people and carry the ball forward. And I thought, fair play to him because none of the rest of his colleagues did that. Literally none of them. And it seems to show where the club's at, to be honest with you, at the minute.
Who's going to want our players? Feathers McGraw's going to want our players. Nobody, mate. Nobody. But thankfully, quite a few is out of contract. So that's the one saving grace. Because otherwise, we ain't selling any of these, are we?
Well, I have a source that at another football club that spoke to me about the Duff situation. And Duff was fuming, obviously, about being sacked. I was going to be happy about that. But his plan was, with the injuries that had impacted the form of the team, he reckoned. But what he was going to do was the clear out that's been talked about in the comments. Steve's put in it was huge clear out. That is exactly what Duff had got planned. And because Kev's, fired the bullet early, he's not going to get the chance to do that. But I think they must know that. Whoever, whether Cartwright's there or not, they must know that they've got to do the equivalent of a Birmingham. They've got to do a huge cull almost of the players there. But and they're going to have to. He's going to have to take a hell of a loss on a lot of them because who is going to want to buy your Ruffles and your Turtons? I mean, they've been solid pros, and they in the past they have done a good job for us, but they've dipped over the other side of being effective now. And the rest of them, he's got legs hanging off, and it's just, there's just so many bad signings there. We went through them a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, and rated them. I rated about 40% of them were decent, and the rest just nowhere near. So it's going to be a huge job. I mean, Nagel said he's going to be active in the open market. Bloody hell, he's going to have to be proper active because he's got some right work to do. We need to 10 or so players out, 10 or so players in. good luck to whoever's got that responsibility, but they can't mess it up again. There's been so many things go wrong recently. The season ticket debacle. I know that it's not their problem with the ticket master thing with the season tickets, but again, it's added in. It just looks not great at the minute. And then that dickhead at bloody Blackpool as well. What on earth? When I would come in onto him, but it's all adding up to not a great state of affairs, and it doesn't help when you travel all that way and get hammered, but you do it because it's your team, don't you? But something needs to change.
You're in training and development, and you work with high performing people and high performing teams. And the one thing that high performers do is they take responsibility. And
100%.
That's what fucking irks me the more. Somebody reposted Cartwright's interview from a close season, and that's the culture from the top of the club is we don't take responsibility for our mistakes. If you listen to Kevin, and I'm a big Kevin fan. Everybody knows that, big fan. The bloke, Raj managed to ask. Raj accidentally squeezed in a question asking how much money he spent. Didn't he? God love him. And if he is genuinely 40 million quid in so far, how can he be accepting what he's seeing in front? Surely his fucking eyes are telling him this isn't right. This isn't good enough. Because if you were a decent manager, an up and coming manager, would you give up a role at a League Two club to come and join Huddersfield Town? Honestly, somebody put a thing on Twitter today going through the players one by one, and Evans was Bristol Rovers' best player, and Sorensen was Lincoln's best player. The problem you've got is they're just fucking signings. There's absolutely no structure. I mean, they said they were buying players to fit Michael fucking Duff's system. Well, why did they only buy one left wing back and one right fucking wing back then? It just feels like they found a load of people and thought, well, they look all right, we can afford them. And our budget is going to be the second highest in this league. I could have probably gotten fucking promoted if the right signings.
Well, they're doing better than they are now, aren't they?
Honestly. Sorry, I'm off on one again out. But
don't forget I played under you, guys.
It's about responsibility, and I think that's what worries me is that the senior management don't appear to be taking any responsibility for this. They're sitting in the boardroom together. I mean, fucking you could accuse us for doing the same thing. Sitting in together and fucking creating an echo chamber, telling each other how fucking great it is. Now people might say, well, you four sit on there telling each other how fucking shit it is. And that's and what you say and what you think is what you get. But Greg Mara said it last time on. Football fans in the UK at this level, we're not fucking stupid. Been there, seen it, done it. I've been watching this club for 40 odd fucking years. I know a good player when I've seen one. I know somebody who's fucking trying when I see it. And I know people who aren't. But apparently, we're all in the fucking wrong. So,
this isn't our job, as Peter Levis has just indicated there. This is not our job. This is our opinions as passionate amateurs who care deeply about the club. That's why we're saying what we're saying because we care. It's the worst thing, really, rather than us booing. That for me, that they're leaving early yesterday with a stream of people. That's a huge. If we're that apathetic about it, that I can't even be bothered to boo you when you've gone 4-0 down away from home. What does that say about what's happening there? And we all have a choice whether we keep taking part in stuff. Why should we at the moment? Because the package, the product, is not good enough. Simple as that.
Had you lads left when they started singing "We've Got the Ball"?
No. Yes, sorry, I'd left.
Yeah, I'd gone. Yeah.
Went on for about 10 minutes, and literally, they got to that stage where it had become that much of a joke. In fact, there were a ball put in, and Ruffles kind of headed it. It looked like he was trying to head it back across goal, but it went towards the goalkeeper, and they went up like they just scored because it was like a shot on target. And then, for the next 10 minutes, it was we've got the ball, and that's the depths we've got to.
Should have been singing "We've Got No Balls." That'd be more accurate.
Yeah.
Fucking, did we have one shot? Did we have one header, I think, from Ruffles at the keeper's out? What did we create? Anything else? I'm trying to think desperately of the keeper making a save. think Taylor ran through at one point, but the keeper got to it before him.
Keeper upended him, didn't he? Yeah.
That's shocking, isn't it? Though that is.
In terms of game management, that made me laugh when what's his name, Spencer roofed that lad up in the air and he rolled off the pitch. So to get the game stopped, the keeper, the Charlton keeper, who had literally not had to do anything, fell over injured.
An outfield player went down first, and the rest going to him. I know you're not wrong with us. If you're not treating me, you're going to have to go off. And while he's doing that, Nathan Jones is going to goalkeeper. Fucking go down. The keeper went down.
And he did.
Of course, ref had stopped the game then.
He's not actually done anything other than run onto the pitch and stand there.
It were a tasty challenge from Spencer. That he was lucky he got the ball, because if he missed the ball, that were a straight red.
But wouldn't you think getting challenges in like that could have been a turning point? Like, get into him, right? Come on, and it was just looking just.
For that. That was great, but were we 2-0 down by that stage already? But it did have an impact. Where I was anyway, there was a bit of a come on,
the fans aren't it, but the players I'm not talking about the fans.
The players show nothing.
You think you get a challenge like that, and the players are actually we can get into these. Come on, we can do it. There was nothing.
Callum Marshall even looked lethargic this weekend. And I'd never have said that, but he didn't run half as much, and he, and that ain't me digging him out, by the way. It just summed up where we were at, because he is usually that man that's doing that.
Can we put any?
Were just watching the ball fly over their head, weren't they? From the clearances from Nichols, just. Taylor's trying to leap, and as Tom Bradshaw said to me, there's no point in Taylor winning that ball to try and flick it on, because there's nobody beyond him. So all he's going to do effectively is head it back to the keeper. Yeah. What on earth will we trying to do? It was the back to the let's hoof it forward and get after it. But we played it on the deck against Crawley and scored 5 times. We suddenly started hoofing it again, because we're scared shitless of having to take some time on the ball and try and make something happen, that we just let's get rid. Somebody else's responsibility. Somebody else has got to get in the end of it. I might get lucky with it. Just absolutely bang average.
They just seemed afraid to play the ball in any way, really. I think Charlton, Connor pointed out during the first half, I think Charlton, they were working so hard, they were closing down the passing lane. So when we did get the ball and get a little bit of space, they'll spin, and there's nobody there. There was nobody past him, and the movement was a trouble. Well, there was no movement. Somebody was getting the ball at centre midfield or one of the fullbacks, and they were just looking at people, looking at him. And James, I was just going to mention Wild James. I know Ian's a big fan, and I think he's got something about him. That was possibly one of the worst performances. And we're going back to Tom Edwards at Leeds. At least fucking noticed he was in the game. I know we were getting skinned by Somerville at the time, but at least you fucking saw him and recognised him. Wild yesterday was an absolute fucking. He was a ghost. As James said, did he touch the ball? I don't think I remember him touching the ball.
No. Terry and Jack's got it right. Evans tripping up with his feet when he was about to take a shot. That was very funny. That was very funny. And then he's run 70 yards to lamp the lad up in the air because he's pissed off. That's just comedy stuff. That is absolute Sunday League stuff. That get him, Shaq, get him. I don't know what he looked like. He was in a shape for a shot. Oh, he might get a shot. He falls over. What's that all about? Like I said in our group chat, I've decided that anybody having a nightmare in our family now will be known as having a bolker, because that was an absolute nightmare of a professional performance from that fella. And he's a decent guy. He seems like a good human being, but what was going on with him? And we know that he was fit 2 weeks ago, so it wasn't fitness, unless something's happened to him in the 2 weeks between the sponsors event and playing yesterday. So it wasn't that. What was he doing? What was he doing?
Shades of Mbete, wasn't it? At Luton, it
weren't that good.
But even him, he could have excuse for Mbete because he's a youngster. But Nah, it's it was absolutely shocking. Absolutely awful. I mean, can we put any blame on Worthy for this, Gaz? You know, I know Trist, you said it, mate. Like, but the thing is, like, we both shaped up in the similar formation, but they were just miles better. So is that the manager? Should he have maybe made some tactical changes to try and stem the flow, or is it just simply that the players just aren't good enough? Because we keep blaming managers, don't we? But the only common denominator, as I said before, are these players. They just didn't look like they wanted it.
Well, we came off the back of a 5-1 win. I mean, it was like they just lost last game 8-0. I mean, they came off the back of a 5-1 win. That's the bit the fucking head around. He didn't change it massively. Like I said, you know, we've got no centre half, so a centre half becomes available and he's fit. You've got to play him. You've got to put him in. Pearson and Balker are the only two fit proper centre half, so you're always going to play him. But I mean, I think, people have different views on coaches jumping up and down on the touchline and doing the nut, and you know, some people love to see it, and some people it drives them bananas, doesn't it? So I don't know whether there's that. What I am disappointed about is one sub at half time. Should have been 3, you know, minimum 2. You know, you have to do so. You know, and I don't know what went on in the dressing room. You know, this is always the problem with, you know, they know he's only here till a bit like them. He's only here till the summer. That's fucking, you know, what do they owe him? Nothing really. You know, it should have been 2 or 3 subs. You know, did he rip into it half time? I guess we'll never know. His post-match press conference tells me he probably doesn't. And then whether he's trying to manage fragile egos, I don't really know. But, you know, ordinary Brighton, right, you can pick a lot of fucking fault at what he did while he was at town. But it's starting to look like he was fucking right. That the club's rotten. The club's rotten to the fucking core. And well, Terry Jackson, no risk of Worthy getting Danny Schofield. Fucking won't surprise me. This hierarchy quite happy to throw a sacrificial lamb to the wolves when it fucking suits them.
Well, you know, they were all there, weren't they? Good, the bad, and the ugly. Kevin Nagle, Edwards, and Cartwright. I mean,
which one's the good one? Out of that?
Well, I'd say Kev for putting money in, but also bad because he's fucking wasted it. So, but at least he is willing to put some money in, and he's got the vision. It's just the fact that obviously, you know, he doesn't really understand what's. I can only assume that he just doesn't understand what the hell's going on, because how this recruitment team's still here, I've absolutely no idea, because every single time it's been a failure. How many more? How many more we're going to have? What must he be thinking now, Mr. Nagle? What's he going to do? Because this is it's just embarrassing. The fans are embarrassed. Nearly every game we're trudging out, being outsung by the other fans after being humiliated on the pitch. Was this what he wanted? Was this his vision? Premier League in 3 years, bollocks. League 2 in 1 year at this rate. It's. I mean, we're kind of laughing, but you know, I mean, if it wasn't our club, it'd be funny, wouldn't it? But it's just an absolute I like to say, I like Mr. Nagle. I like his ambition and what he's saying, but since he's been here, I don't think it can be argued. But it's been an unmitigated disaster, both seasons. We've to not get in the playoffs after the money that he spent is an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster.
But that's all being thrown at the manager's door, though, isn't it? This failure. Clearly, they felt the failure of relegation wasn't their fault. That was Darren Moore and Brighton Wrighter and Warnock's fault, wasn't it? That's who they laid the blame of relegation at the door of, clearly. Because that much was clear in Mr. Cartwright's press conference at the beginning of the season. And it's continued. And Duff didn't help himself, did he? I mean, that was a problem. He made himself a handy scapegoat with the quality of the football. But I said before, if the player's not good enough, what's he meant to do? Can't make a silk purse out of his house here, can he?
No. I mean, what would you do? I know what I'd do. I've been saying it for months. But what if you're in Kevin Nagle's shoes now, Andy? What would you do now to try and make things better from this situation?
Oh my word! What a question that is.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm 70 odd. I'm a billionaire. Have I made the investment in a club that I didn't know existed 2 years ago already? I don't know. Bless him. So I think we have to be grateful to him because, and I certainly am. 40 million quid down the Swanee to a club that you'd never heard of 2 years ago. Huge kudos to them, and I genuinely believe that he wants to make a difference to the community of Huddersfield. I think he's got to make some changes because the people that are running the show for him, it appears it's not working. So whatever the culture is, whatever the climate they've got going on at the club, whatever's going on there, but he's got the flip side of that is he's made however many changes already for manager wise, and that's not made a difference. So you can then only look somewhere else, and I think he's got to make some changes, but whether he will, I don't know. He seems to back Mr. Cartwright, Mr. Edwards. He seems to rate them, and as you know, as a leader, that's a really good trait. And it could be a spectacularly brilliant decision if it ends up getting us to where he wants us to be back into the Championship. But everything is saying so far that that's not going to happen. So I think he's got to keep doing what he's doing in terms of providing the funds. I think we're coming to a point now where he's got to change the lieutenants that he's got at the club, because you've got to ask yourself, is it working? And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Doesn't appear to be working at the minute. So that's the thing for me.
Yeah, it's not a personal thing. Really, we can't. Like I say, I've said before, I don't know him. I'm sure he's a nice guy, and I'm not just talking about Cartwright. I'm talking about the whole team. And I know there's someone of the team that's gone, but the whole team needs a reshape, needs a refresh.
I was going to mention that, Nick. Wouldn't you be gutted to be that bloke, or not? Because actually, he's got out of it. But surely that bloke can't just be the scapegoat. Do you know what I mean? Like, surely, I think you were basically Cartwright's assistant, wasn't he? And surely he cannot just be the one that's losing his job, and and they are that kind of misjudged with it, and that much of an echo chamber that it's his fault.
But I mean, as recently as this week, when he was talking about the season ticket, well, he's obviously come over. He's reaffirming to us via the town's media channels that, according to the outside experts, we've got one of the best teams in the league, and but for injuries, we'd be absolutely fucking tearing it up. I don't think one terrible performance at Charlton is going to change that bloke's mind that we're in the wrong place with the wrong people. I really don't. I mean, the only thing we hope is we miss out on the playoffs, and that is enough for him to bring change to bear. But he's showing absolutely no signs of a man that thinks he needs to change the core of the club. He's talking, honestly, if you go back and listen to his interview from Tuesday, he's convinced that we've got the best players, and actually it's not down to him, it's not down to the senior management, it's down to the players and the manager.
He's got to say that, though, isn't he? And that's what a good leader would do. I think he would defend the club publicly to the hill, to defend his people to the hill, whether he's having different conversations behind the scenes. I would suspect so. And are they coming towards the end of his patience with them? I don't know.
But he says he's listening, Andy. He says he's listening. He can't have it both ways. You can't claim he's listening and then choose not to listen to the bit that he doesn't like. Yeah. You have to take that at face value. And I said last time we were on, he's starting to reaffirm this belief that some town fans have, which is he's just an American who has absolutely no idea about football. Bloke's got no clue what he's doing. And all they're doing is reaffirming that assumption.
I think the thing is, it's not just one bad game at Charlton, is it? I've just looked at the league table. We've lost 13 league games this season. 13 league games this season. That is not what a club that's hoping to get promoted.
Second biggest budget in League One.
Yeah, we've lost 13 times. We've lost one in every 3 games we've lost. Yeah, 18 victories, fair dues, but we are so far behind the rest of them that there's something not right.
Falling apart like Leeds in disguise. That's the only fucking thing that made me laugh this weekend, was seeing that coming. Sorry state of affairs. And from one sorry state to the next, I think we need to talk about it, don't we? Dion Charles offer to Black. He can't be arsed watching his own side. Goes to watch ball. What the fuck? It's just another fucking side act to the circus, isn't it? It's just yet another thing on top of everything. What is going on? What is going on? Is that what it's come to? Our own players don't even want to fucking watch us because we're that shite. They'd rather go and watch other team play rather than cheer
If you've
their own team on.
If you've earned a bit of credibility with the supporters, then fair dues. Go and watch the team that you support. When you've earned fuck all credibility and you've been absolutely abysmal since we signed you and looked like you were playing as a chuffing agent for Bolton, then that is an incredibly stupid thing to do. If he's done that on his own, that is an incredibly stupid thing to do. If he's gone to somebody at the club and gone, do you mind if I go and watch Bolton versus Blackpool? That's an incredibly stupid thing from somebody at the club to sanction. And I get it's his own free time, but just because he can do something does not mean to say that he should do it. And that is absolutely tone deaf. I saw a picture earlier on today on Twitter. God loves Steve Mooney. I got of him in the away end at Arsenal. There we go, Terrier Jack. I think it might have been Terrier Jack that posted it. Can you imagine Dion Charles even thinking of doing something like that? Because we're a cash cow to him. We are not a club that he's bought into. We are not a club that he's proud to represent. You don't do that. You just don't do that. And maybe it's middle-aged man. It doesn't really matter. Who cares? He goes and supports his mates. That's just tone-deaf stupidity when you haven't got anything brand-wise to go back on. Yeah, but I've done this for you as a club. When you've done nothing, the only significant thing that you've done is smack it nearly over the South Stand in that one chance that you got at home. That's the only thing he's done that's been memorable for this bloody club. And he goes away and does that. Beyond stupid.
The daftest thing, or the most stupid thing about it was that the game that he played against Bolton, they spent 90 minutes singing about him cheating on his wife.
His wife, yeah.
Yeah. Literally, they spent 90 minutes hammering him. And he's gone and having selfies with them and enjoying it. Honestly, not as fickle as football.
I have to congratulate Andy anyway. That's the most banging I've heard from a Premier in room since Nick was in my Bonnie Blue. So well done on that. Well, he's entitled to fucking go and watch it. It's his boy team, right? So he wants to go and watch that. That's fine. But we're actually up against them trying to get that last playoff place. That's the bit I can't get fucking head around. I mean, they're actually a direct competitor right now in terms of we went to see. He won't have asked anybody at club, Andy. I don't think they have that kind of control over individuals or players. I don't think the club will care because then they care about him as much as he cares about us. He's just a geezer through the door.
Think to go, hang on a minute. I wonder how this might be taken if I go and watch Bolton away when Town are away. If the result that Town produce doesn't matter, how will this be received by the supporters, the people that are paying effectively my wages? What will they think about this? Will they think it's a good thing? Will they chuff think it's a good thing? That is a ridiculously stupid thing to do. It just, the reputation of professional footballers goes before them, doesn't it? About not having the emotional intelligence that you might want them to have. Oh my word, that's such a tone deaf thing for him to do. It's just beyond stupid.
It's all about taking personal responsibility, Andy, and to him it was more important that he went to watch that game with his mates than it was to be a professional footballer and be at home, train, rest, do whatever. Is he meant to be? Is he injured?
Yeah, he's out for the season.
Yeah, so
he's out partying, more like. He didn't look all fucking wrong with him in their videos.
He's on the fucking big one at Blackpool, sucking rock. That's what he's doing.
Glad you said rock.
I don't know. You don't know what's going on. The club said to him, "Fucking, we sorted your rehab. Here's your rehab program. We'll see you in fucking August." You don't know where we are or where he is with it. But he'll end up back at Bolton. He'll end up back at Bolton. We'll end up blowing our brains on him, and he'll end up back there.
Fucking hope so, because he's done nothing for us. I can't remember him having a shot on goal since he's joined us. He won't get back in team. Someone's put here. Is it Bradley here? How do you deal with him? I don't know what you do. I mean, you fine him. Problem is now, if he does play again, like fans are just going to boo him, aren't they? And he's a sort of guy that will obviously react badly to that. So I don't think he'll. I don't think we'll hardly see him again. Now,
fucking nothing. Nothing will happen. There'll be no consequence. Because what can they do?
He's not broken any laws, is he? He's not
broken any rules. He's contract. Went to watch his team.
It's fucking stupid.
Yeah. It's just crap, innit? It's not about rules. It's just about being sensible and looking at the situation. And you're a professional, and part of being a professional is supporting the club that you're playing for. I don't care if it's your childhood club. It's your teammates. You're there. You're a team, and even if you're injured, you go down and support your team. You don't fuck off to see another football club who's a direct rival for a playoff place rather than go and watch your own team. Absolutely.
In fairness, it wouldn't have been dug out if we hadn't lost 4-0. If we'd have gone and won 4-0, no one would have given a shit.
I don't know, mate. I still think people will be pissed off. Even I know what you mean, Tris. Like, it always gets blown up, doesn't it, when you defeat? But I still think I'd still be pissed off because it's just not what you should do. He's part of our club, not theirs. And yeah, you can still support them, but you've got a job to do, and that job is to support your teammates. You can still be down there in and around the dressing room supporting people. That's still part of the job.
That's needed. I think so. Let's imagine. I don't know this, but let's imagine Tom Upenda's from Brighton. Yeah, so let's imagine that Brighton is his team. Would anybody have an issue with Tom Upenda going and watching Brighton if that was a thing that was able to do? I wouldn't have a single problem with it. Okay. It's the fact that they are a direct rival and he's gone to support them in a competition that we are playing in at exactly the same time. That is the thing for me. That's the bit that I just do not get.
He came from Blackpool, didn't he, originally? He's a Blackpool lad. Yeah, grew up through Blackpool's academy.
Yes, he came through the Blackpool Academy, didn't he? So
it just doesn't sit right with me, though. It doesn't sit right with me. I just think it's shit. I just think it's unprofessional because it's all about image as well. It's all about the optics. That's a big part of being a professional footballer. It's how you look to your supporters, to your fans. And that is not a good look. It's not a good look.
You can't for a minute, honestly, Nick, though, you can't for a minute think that he gives a shit what it looks like. And you can't for a minute think that he's even given any consideration whatsoever to what it looks like.
No, he hasn't. So you're absolutely right. He doesn't care. Hasn't occurred to him.
Genuinely, there's a load of them that are young lads that effectively the footballers saved them from God knows what. They're not. They aren't smart. They aren't the brightest buttons in the world, are they? He won't have given a single thought about it.
But aren't we supposed to be signing really good characters? We're all together. Worthy says, they're a great bunch. They're all together. We only sign players with the right mentality. We do all the checks because we've heard all that bollocks. So is that not true then? Is it balls? Is it balls?
No, that goes back to what I said earlier about these players that we've signed. As individuals, there's probably some good footballers in there. And I think someone said earlier on, I don't know who it was, but, I bet when we release a lot in the summer, 2 or 3 of them will go on and have probably really good careers. They might play at a higher level than they would do with our fucking shower of a club. But that don't make them right for us, does it? Don't make them right for us, and don't make them right for us right now. And I think that's what I worry about, is that somebody's put it there. I've been whinging about it for weeks, and everyone together. It's just a fucking strike, and it fucking don't mean anything. It's just a poster on a wall. It means absolutely nothing. That
everyone's together thinking what a pain in the arse it is to watch this shite. That's all it means.
But
we're all together thinking we should start another club.
To be fair, the tagline's everything together, not everyone together. So that is slightly different. But I guess you could put everything, everyone, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. I don't know, but yeah. What are the changing room values, behaviours? This character stuff. What measure have they used of character of the people that they've signed? Because I'm not aware they've done any psychometric assessment or anything. Maybe they have. Maybe I don't know at all. My belief is that the character assessment they've done is right. I'll pick the phone up to my mate. You know such a body. Is he a good lad? Yeah, he's a good lad. That'll do for me, Cocker. And that's the character assessment. And if I'm wrong, that I hope I'm desperately hope I'm wrong. But if that's what it is, then they need to get a bit more clued up about it. I have no idea whether they've got any sort of sports psychologist with the first team. I know there are some ones available to the academy. Is anybody helping them with their mental setup, how they deal with adversity? Their thought processes were clearly on the choices that Dion Charles has made this weekend. Absolutely not. Anybody will be able to tell you, mate, that's not the best of ideas. Watch it on the telly. Text your mates afterwards. But don't go. And turn up with a big hood and a cap as if nobody's going to recognise the fact that you're Dion Charles, who used to play for Bolton. What on earth? And then have bloody selfies and videos with everybody. Man alive. What on earth is going on there?
You've got to think though, Andy, someone like Hogg ain't going to let him get away with it. You've got to. Leeds apparently walled Rodoni up last year.
I want that sober. I think he do sober the year before or something. Leeds has dished a few out by the sounds of it.
Just battering them all, isn't it?
I think he had a do with Rodoni. I think that's what transpired down at Ipswich.
Right.
He ran over who couldn't give a shit and all. Gone on to bigger and better things as soon as he went to another club.
Yeah, apparently best football we ever had, if you believe fucking Twitter.
Anyway, so just to depress ourselves further, season tickets. So we had a bit of a U-turn, didn't we? We did the episode about the season tickets, which was obviously really positive and upbeat after we've all been, seeing massive price increases for nothing in return, other than maybe some hot water in the toilets next season. But Kevin's come on and we've done a bit of a U-turn on some of it. So now the under-14s are going to get a free season card with every adult ticket purchase, and under-18s
renewals. It's not a free season ticket card. If you're under 14 and you're a brand new joiner, as I understand it, you would have to pay.
You would, but for the renew. Sorry, Andy, you're right. For the renewals, they will. Yeah, and the under 18s, £129. I mean, we like a U-turn, don't we? When it all kicks off. I mean, do we praise? I don't know. Do we praise Kevin here? Say, look, he's listened to us. They always say he listened. He'd listened to us fans, and now we've changed it to give this great gesture, and now we're all happy. Or do we think actually, A, it's not enough, or B, was this, as I think, a classic sales tactic all along that will send out this thing? Because to me, and I could be wrong, but to me, the main priority was to increase the adult senior tickets. To me, this is just a classic sales technique of, we'll present the worst case scenario, then we'll backtrack, but only on the things that don't really matter. So now it looks great, don't we? We're all happy now. So people are now going to be buying more tickets and actually, no, we've done a U-turn, they've listened, we're all right now. but actually they're still getting what they wanted, which is the price increases. That's what I think, because I'm a cynical bastard. But Tristan, you're the more positive of the group. And look, I'm not disputing that it's a good thing for the kiddies because we need to get more kids in. But what do you think, Trist? Is it enough at the end of the day?
I saw some of the boardroom on the way down yesterday, and I told them what I thought. And I I'm happy to kind of say it. I thought it was a positive thing, but personally, I didn't see a problem with 49 quid being charged. So it feels like they've gone to 99 quid, and then they've gone, oh, do you know what? Make it free. And I'm like, well, we could have avoided all this in the first place, and you just could have kept it at 49 quid or gone to 59 quid or 69 quid. It wouldn't have been a massive issue, that, but it just feels like a completely unnecessary, and it is. It's all these little things that are just adding to this bigger question of kind of the senior leaders in the club, of all these decisions that the club keep making, and it all just builds up, doesn't it? And I mean, we've alluded to it quite a number of times on here, and we'll always say it. It'll all pale into insignificance if we play well on the pitch, but the minute we don't play well on the pitch, these little kind of things that go on, it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. I'll be honest with you, we spoke about the pod on the pod about the tickets the other week. I think it is a positive thing. And I think it's we've got to get kids involved, and we've got to have them. They are the kind of the lifeblood of the club, and you've got to keep bringing people through, and ultimately, and I think, just kind of going off on a bit of a tangent here, I think we underplayed not having an academy. We kind of said, oh well, we'll pick people up, and Andy's favourite mate Tom came through that system, but actually, if you look at it now, we've nobody coming through, and to the point that we've been talking about for this whole kind of hour that we've been doing, we've nobody coming through that actually is Huddersfield through and through and seems to care, so actually I think it's quite a positive thing if we can get the kids into the stadium and filling the stadium. We've now got the academy back. Hopefully it will bear fruits, but it'll take time, won't it? And so yeah, I think it is a good thing, but I think it was unnecessary, to be honest with you.
Gaz, I mean, 25% off full price items in the club shop. The problem is we've got Castor, so it'll go up 40%. But anyway,
you said that. Oh, well, I'm looking forward to they've got this new range of fucking caps, haven't they? 30 quid for a cap. I mean, who spends 30 quid on a cap, by the way? I mean, I'm going to sound like an absolute hypocrite now, because I moaned like chuff 10 days ago, whenever it was, that we talked about season tickets. I think I've come round to your way of thinking, Nick, actually, that I think it's just a ruse. I think they all along they intended to give something, so distracted from the fact my ticket's gone up 180 quid. I do think there's an element of that. I also think it's naive as fuck. He's just setting himself he's making such a rod for his own back now, because every time he does anything we don't like, we're all going to get on social media and go, oh, Kev, you need to change your mind, mate. You need to change your mind. And there's an expectation now that that's going to happen. I still go back to what I said. They asked the HCSA to get a bit of a survey done for them. They did that, gave them the information, completely ignored it, and paid somebody an absolute fortune to come up with the fucking nonsense they've come up with. And then he wonders why he's wanked 40 million quid away. And the accounts are out tomorrow. I think somebody's just mentioned them, aren't they? So that will then help all the superheroes who think that 400 quid is more than reasonable, and I don't know what we're all complaining about. All of them guys, they'll be able to print them accounts off for us, won't they, and say that's why you've got to pay more money. Well, I think you find the reason we've lost 10 million quid or 12 million quid, or whatever it's going to be, is more because we keep signing dross. Oh, and by the way, we've got fucking relegated. I don't see anything to do with my season ticket price. If Reece really is on 12 grand a week, then, our season tickets aren't going that fucking far, are they? Let's be honest, in the grand scheme of things. So I like, I don't want to talk a gift horse in the mouth. And talking to somebody at the station on Saturday who's going to feel the benefit of that under 14 ticket. So I'm pleased for them, and there will be genuinely families. There's one that sits in front of me in the stand. They've got two lads are probably are 8 and 10, and they're going to benefit from that. So I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, and I'm appreciative of anything they've done to try and support families to bring kids to the game. So I'm not going to complain about it, but he's going to wait till next year. It'll be all the same dance again next year, won't it? And if you believe the rumours, their aim is to get it north of 500 quid across the board next year. Yeah.
You've got to think as well, Gaz, of that 40 million, surely in managers that we've sacked is there's a quarter of that.
Yeah. Must
got
be.
to be, hasn't it?
Must be.
Managers and their staff. And throw into that probably the purchasing the stadium, and then all of a sudden it might not look quite so much invested.
Yeah.
Or purchasing the stadium and the investments in the stadium. All of a sudden then it's...
Yeah. You're buying assets without leasing, aren't you? You're buying an asset like the players we bought who are all fucking worthless. At least the stadium has a value.
Yeah.
And look, we've got to give. I know what
I can add. Yeah, I benefit from it. I think because my lad's 16, so I think it goes up to. It might save me a little bit of money. I think we all acknowledge that the prices have got to go up because we can't carry on paying what we've been paying for God knows how long. There has to be some sort of investment from us as well as from Mr. Nagel. Whether it's a tactic or not, I think it's a pretty shit tactic if it is. It's very misguided if that's we're going to give you this because that's what we were going to give you all along. We'll see what we can get out of it. And if you don't kick up a fuss, I think that's. I can't see that being a. I mean, these consultants don't seem to have done a great job. So if they've come up with that as a tactic, Jesus wept. Don't be employed any more consultants, Mr. Nagel. Just come and ask the people who've been around the club for a long time that might be able to give you a bit of advice. I mean, HTSA had the comments. Council Lyle did the same thing. I'm sure the other organisations at the club have offered their own view on it as well. It appears that the actual customers have not been listened to, and the consultants have come in and said what they've got to do. Well, sorry, consultants, you've dropped a bollock there because you've got it wrong. It's the scale of the hike for me that's the issue, and we should have been looking to maybe hike a little bit last year and then a bit more and then a bit more. It's just we've got to do it. But consultants, don't get any others in apart from me because I'm a consultant.
Should have got you in under.
I rest my fucking case.
Hey, the comment there, Jed Robinson. Is there any positivity? I'll give you some positivity. A lad from Bod Squad said to Jake Edwards yesterday, right, where are we going in summer? And he said, oh, well, I don't know. Have you got any ideas? He said, yeah, Benidorm. I can get you a friendly against Benidorm. There you go. There's some positivity.
Oh, my word. There's been a rumour that it might be America. So I'm not sure about that. But,
I don't know.
Yeah,
Jed,
right.
my positive is this season nearly over. That's my positive. So we don't have to endure any fucking more shite performances for over the summer. We can rest and chill and before we have to go and suffer it all over again. I think. Look, we're always we're going to be accused of being really negative here. And look, I hold my hands up. Maybe I was being a bit cynical there. And I think, look, anything is much appreciated. So I can only praise him for offering that. Particularly to the under-14s, I think it's so important that we support getting young kiddies in the door because they are the future of this football club. And I think, look, he's tried to ameliorate the situation by offering a carrot just to try and appease the fans. And I don't know. I think anything is better than what was served. My concern, and I completely agree with you, Andy, that it's the amount that it's increased is the major problem for me. Because if you look at any business, it rises with inflation. Now, if you roughly work it out, I think you looked at this, guys, didn't you? And it's pretty much accounting for 5% inflation increases all at once. Yeah. But what business successfully is successful that increases its prices by 70% in one round? It just doesn't. It's just not a recipe for success. Supporters need to be given the opportunity to gradually rise into it. And I think £50 gradual increase year on year would have been more than acceptable and fair. I mean, where's this going to end? Are we going to be at 500, 550 before long?
That's the rumour. That's the rumour. I was talking to somebody at Wakey train station, and they've got reasonable inside knowledge, and that's the view, is they really want to take it to begin with a 5, but they don't do it in one jump. So,
I've said it before. Football's supposed to be for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you're not going to be able to get a ticket in the upper tier anyway, because as Terry Jack said, Killer's going to get a season ticket for every single one of his kids. So that's the upper tier taken care of, isn't it?
The entire stand sold out.
Swiss Family Kilroy.
Scribe says here, back down to 11k at home. See, I tell you what, mate, I think that's been generous. I don't know. I think they will be in for a shock. I think a lot will renew because it's habit, and if people can afford, they will. But it just sickens me that there's some people that won't be able to now because of this, and that really upsets me. And I appreciate they need it to go up. They should have gone up year on year. Really, ridiculous just keeping it the same. But there's a way to do it. There's a way to do it in a way that is more fan friendly and sustainable and sensible. And this isn't it. So whoever's advised him, don't use them again. I'll tell you what he should do. We should do a down at the Mac tea time with the chairman, as was suggested by Carmichael Dave, I think, on Down at the Mac. There you go. That can be his counsel for the next time. For the next time. Well, we won't be invited, guys. We won't be invited after these episodes, will we? Let's be honest.
We're never getting an invite.
I don't think the club owners talking about this type of stuff. I think they recognise that we're customers and supporters, and we're entitled to have our own opinions, and we will not probably agree with what they. As long as we do it respectfully, which I think we do, I don't think they have a problem with it. But I think one of the things is that the way they've marketed it isn't great. I mean, pointing out that the fact that if you buy a season ticket, you get to go to 23, guaranteed 23 home games.
And your own seat, Andy. Reserved.
Fucking season ticket, we know that bit.
Oh, man.
And then it's £4.50 for kids in. We can do maths. There needs to be something more than, because I'm thinking, I'm Blue and White Foundation member. Do I get 15% off the 25% of that? So am I down to like 60% of cost price in the club shop? What's happening? They just need to get.
They're selling stuff at cost price, Andy. No wonder they're going fucking bust.
They're not though.
I think you think it's list price. Oh look, Terry Jack says that the club don't like and he takes that chance. Well, I have to be honest, Terry Jack, that makes fucking two of us. I'm not feeling it. Sorry, Matt. Sorry, Ian. That was genuinely a joke.
I do. I think they're good lads. And that's still Smarting Podcast. That's it, isn't it, Scribiac? That's still Smarting Podcast. Brilliant. They've had some fantastic guests on there.
Any podcast talking about town is welcome, in my opinion. The more people talking about my football club, the better I can listen to. But we're just the best. But you can't all be as good as us, can you?
What can you do?
I mean?
What can you do?
I think because we don't give a shit. That's why. We just say what we think, don't we? Yeah. No, they're all really good. Of course they are. That's as much as I've got to say on it, guys. Unless you have anything else, but I think look, it's a positive. To me, it's not quite enough. I don't think they should have increased it as much as they did. But at the end of the day, it is what it is now, and it's better than nothing, and we've got to take it. So
I think
it is what it is.
That we've got big plans, so we need to put prices up. I think there needs to be more than that. I think he needs to treat us a bit like there's a level of intelligence, and actually we need to know about the funding of the club and how it's been done and the impact that me buying my season ticket and that for my missus and my son. What difference will that make to Nagel's ability to invest money in the club? Because that's one of the main reasons that it's gone up. Because the revenue that he's trying to generate through the H-Town and the various different changes he's going to make to the bars and from what I understand, the boxes and all that type of stuff. He's got to increase the revenue through the club. But that means the more revenue that the club generates, the more money he can put in. But I don't think he's been clear about that. But because when you're equating the cost to the value that we're getting, we're not getting that. If we can go, look, there's a bigger picture here, and we need this. We need your support to be able to drive us forward. Just saying we've got big plans. Fucking amphitheatre that they're talking about on driving range that's going to be open in January for you to go and watch Elbow outdoors in January in Huddersfield. Sorry, lads, that's the next bloody ski lift thing. That for me, fucking amphitheatre.
That's the cable car from the town centre.
That's it.
Bring back the ski slope. That's what I.
Yeah. Yeah. I genuinely, I don't doubt the vision. I don't doubt what he's trying to do. He's trying to make it a conference hub. But you've got to think, when you see the Man U development or whatever that they're going to develop Old Trafford, if you've got a choice of going to a multi-billion-pound stadium like Old Trafford will potentially be, or the John Smiths with an amphitheatre and Odeon knocked down for, where are you going to go? So there needs to be some serious work done there. So all power to his elbow in terms of getting the stadium over the line, which we're led to believe isn't far away. There's going to need to be a lot of investment down there to make it anything like brilliant. We do need a monorail. We do need a ski slope. We do need
monorail. That's more of a Shelbyville idea. The Simpsons joke for those who didn't get it.
Probably built at same standard and all.
Well, we've had a couple of questions about the comedy gig they cancelled because a fan spoke out about the price.
Yes, we have.
These are these braces. What do we? I think the population wants us to discuss that. Are we in a position to be able to offer comments on that? Or
I've heard, and because it's only rumours, I've heard there was more to it than that. So I don't think I'm going to get involved in that conversation because I don't know if that or isn't true.
There's always more to the story, isn't there, than what comes out. I don't think personally. I don't know. I don't know anything as usual, but I think you don't do something like that without a good reason because they would have known how that would have looked. So you don't make a decision like that unless there's a really good reason to do so, is my opinion.
Okay.
It's still
I like the idea of Carmichael Davis driving the monorail that Steve Sheppy's just put in. I don't want him on comms on the monorail. I want him driving the monorail. That would be amazing. Like on DLR, where you don't have a driver. We'd have just like a what they're called.
Like a robot.
Yeah. It's like a robot, but it's got Carmichael Dave's face on it. That's what I would.
Wearing full head to toe castor gear. That's what he needs to be doing as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's needed because there's no fucking parking, is there, at ground? It's like Fort Knox trying to get in that car park. Is it 370
now?
What?
We're going to have to build 5 hotels on it to make the conference venue. And
it's all right having a conference venue, but if no fucker can park there, no one can get there. No one's going to get that. That's all right if it's in city centre and people can just get off train and walk there. But no one's going to go to that when you can't even park at the bugger, are they?
I'm warming more to the idea the longer we go on.
I didn't realise this was going to turn into a property programme. I'm quite enjoying this.
Well, the stairs leading up to the bedroom. Who's Dion Dublin out of all of us then?
Yeah.
Right, lads, come on. Let's get back on track and let's look forward to Lincoln away on a Tuesday night. I mean, what could whet the appetite more? Eh? Absolutely tantalising. I just can't think of anything else than another disgraceful battering, to be quite honest. Lincoln away is tough at the best of times. Confidence will be on the floor. They've got a team, they set up similar to us, I think, in probably 4-2-3-1 formation, and they've got pace down the flanks. Makama, I really like him. I think he's a really good prospect. Now, the one good thing is that Paudie O'Connor got sent off in the last game. The bad news is he's a defender and we never get in the fucking box, so it's not really going to make any difference, I guess. But that's another player that I've admired and I thought maybe we should have been looking at, but I think he'll probably move higher up. But lads, is there a world where we see us coming back from the? I mean, it has to be better than yesterday, surely to God, can't it?
The form at the minute seems to suggest so, doesn't it? Their form at the minute seems a bit hit and miss. You know, they've lost to Barnsley. They smashed Crawley like we did. I think they smashed Bristol Rovers unlike we did. They lost to Birmingham. But that Makama seems to be the lad that's a bit hot property at the minute, doesn't he? He seems to be scoring quite a few goals. I think he got a hat-trick of the week in one of the games. So I think it'll be a tough game. I thought they were one of the better sides to visit our place. And I thought that Erahon in midfield as well, you know, ran the show against us last time.
Yes, he did. You're right. Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, yesterday we had 3 lads in midfield and how you then can say that we had a midfield was to be, you know, it was quite surprising. But we had 3 lads in midfield and if he plays anything like he did against us at our place and they play anything like they did at the weekend, you know, yeah, it could be a rerun of yesterday, to be honest with you, because I did think that they were a really decent side.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
You're meant to be. We bring you on, Chris, because you're like the optimistic, positive one. You're not helping.
Listen.
Go on.
No, I just think that that yesterday just blew everything out the window, didn't it? You know, you wonder, and I know we've joked about it in the past because we've had that many recently, but when these managers get sacked and we talk about a new manager bounce or, you know, a caretaker manager bounce, you know, we definitely didn't get it yesterday. And I just didn't see anything worthy on the sideline. And it makes me sad to say this because it was the complete opposite of this as a player. That I just didn't see anything on the sideline to suggest that he's going to go and read the riot act to them and say, look, lads, you know, 1,600 fans here. I mean, and I didn't mention this before. I stopped, you know, this isn't a badge of honour, by the way. I stopped till the end because my little lad likes to clap them at the end, right? And they could barely even be bothered to come and clap the fans. You know, they got to the D, they turned at the D, they kind of, you know, it were half-hearted. Matty Pearson put his hand up again, you know, type thing, and it just, you know, at least Duff used to come. I think at Northampton when we had that game,
he came right up.
He held his hands up. He took it on the chin. There were none of that. You know, and I just, yeah, no. There just doesn't seem anything that's suggesting to me that someone's going to go out there. You know, Kasumu was a positive thing that he was back. So maybe, you know, with Kasumu back in the side, we might be something different. That's the first time anybody's ever agreed with me, so I'm proud of that.
I'll save it, mate. I'll screenshot it, and we'll keep that for wall.
But I just they want anyone. You know, there's no, like we said, Brodie Spencer went and smashed someone, and you thought it might get a reaction out of someone, and it got a reaction out of nobody other than fans in crowd, and that doesn't seem to bother. It doesn't seem to fire the players up, you know, and so that's why, Gaz. I mean, I'd love to be a bit more positive, but that summed it up really.
Yeah, and you're right. And funny enough, we said the same thing about Worthy. Could you imagine Worthy allowing that game to pass him by like that as a player? He would have absolutely fucking rattled some. He would have been a yellow card walking, wouldn't he? He would have absolutely nailed somebody during that game. I just don't. I struggle to see a reaction. You know that I've been criticising their professionalism today, and I'm sure if any of them were listening, they want to argue the point. But you know, normally when a team gives that kind of performance, you're looking for a reaction. I just don't see a reaction coming, really. We've just got to hope that Lincoln have a shit day, because it could have me interest. I think could be another turning over. Originally I was meant to be now Wickham on Tuesday, but now I'm going Wednesday, so I'm now able to go if I want to go. I'm not sure I want to go. I mean, that's really terrible, isn't it? And I love going to Lincoln. It's a great little ground. Long time since we've been in a competitive game, isn't it? But yeah, I think.
What we wish for Ifianora.
Say again.
Oh, how we wish for Ifianora.
Them were the days, weren't they, mate? Them were the days. Are we doing score predictions, Nick, or just morning?
We'll do score predictions. Well, I'll do. We're just going to moan for another half an hour, guys. I've noticed we've got massive numbers tonight as well. So I just wanted to say, you know, thank you for listening, getting all your comments in, and if you could subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify in particular, that'd be amazing. It's free. It helps the pod out massively. In terms of getting stuff sorted out and new content and everything. So, but we really appreciate your support and all your comments and your questions. So it's brilliant. So yeah, if you could please subscribe. I mean, if it's going to take an incentive to get to 1,000 subscribers, you know, I can do a forfeit or something. You can think of something stupid for me to do. If we get to 1,000, then I'll, as long as it's not a tattoo of Cartwright on my ass or something like that, then I'll. Well, I'm sure we could do something. I'm sure, but yeah, it helps us massively. So if you could subscribe YouTube and Spotify, that'd be amazing. But let's do some predictions. Go on then. We'll go clockwise order. Gaz.
I'm gonna say 2-0 Lincoln.
2-0 Lincoln. Andy.
1-1 in off Joe Taylor's backside in the 88th minute.
Tristan.
0-0.
0-0. Bradley says 10-0. I mean, I'm loving this positivity.
Get him on.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to say 3-0 to Lincoln. I just don't see it. I think we're shot, and Lincoln. I never liked the look of it early in the season. I never liked the look of it on paper. They're such a tricky side, particularly at home. It's a Tuesday night. It's going to be a decent atmosphere from their point of view. I just think we'll get turned over. But look, Peter's gone 3-1 Town.
Go on, Peter.
So I mean, I'll have some of what you've been drinking, but it's at least one of us is positive. John Armstrong says 1-1. If you've got any others, get them in, guys. See what you think. But I just think the way they play with the pace they've got, are we going to be up for it on a Tuesday night? Well, we didn't look up for it yesterday, did we? And now we've dropped out the playoffs. Do we have the mental grit? Do we have what it takes to get back in? I mean, Reading are in crisis. How are they in there? Like, an absolute crisis. And they're still better than us. And for the amount we've spent, that is criminal, isn't it? It's absolutely disaster. 2-1 Town, Terrier Jack. Injuries.
That's in injuries.
What?
So 2 Town injuries to 1.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, probably right, mate. And probably for the season as well. It's a standard. Volker will get injured again because he's fucking sat down funny or something. So
there was a nervy moment on Saturday when Joe Taylor went down.
Oh, yeah. Thought he'd done his calf, didn't we? Yeah.
Right. I think that's enough, guys, isn't it? An hour and a half of moan fest. So for Mother's Day. Anything else you want to discuss, guys, before we wrap it up? Guys, if any more questions for the esteemed panel before we finish, post them now.
Well, just a point of order, Nick. The courier is now at Bab House, so won't be much longer.
What have you gone for, Gaz?
I'm just the Donner and chips, mate. It's a bit late to be eating anything bigger than that, innit?
This is why we're one of the best pods around, mate. It's that sort of convo, professional, polished conversation that sets us on top. Oh, thanks, Stephen. Great show, guys. Thank you, mate. Thanks for joining us as always. What was your view on Rambo sacking? Well, we did touch on it before, but it's always sad, innit, when a Town fan gets pushed out. But at the end of the day, I'm sure again, you don't do it without a reason. What annoyed me a bit was that they dumbed down his time at Town. They called it just over a decade, and he'd been there for 17 years. So I thought that was a bit rubbish, really. But again, I'm sure they had a reason for it. But nothing going on in H-Town before. Well, maybe we'll do a live pod there. I'm sure the club would be happy to host us, ripping the shit out of them pre-game. That'd go down well. But they need a bit more entertainment down there at that ground, pre and post, and at half time, not just some idiot running around a broom handle for 2 minutes. But
and that worked first half.
They played like that first half, didn't they? But welcome, anyway.
Loads of idiots running around in circles. That's our entire side, isn't it, for 90 minutes? Right, guys, thank you as always for listening and your comments. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you to Gaz, Andy, and Tristan as always. And we'll be back after. It'll be on next Sunday, and I just hope with better news. I just hope we'll at least put in a performance Tuesday and Saturday, but it can't get any worse than yesterday, surely to God. So onwards and upwards, guys, and up the Town. Take care, and we'll see you soon.